him.
Yeah, uh, yeah, I have a question that is not related to today's topic, but so
Second, him, 1 second.
yeah,
Let me mute everybody. Okay, go ahead and unmute yourself.
yeah. No, I have a slightly unrelated question to today's class, um, and it's kind of more of a personal question also. So, when you were in the US and you're working, did you ever feel that the work that you were doing interfered with your sadhana to some extent? Like, so for example, when I work, what happens is that the mind gets so conditioned to thinking about, it gets so conditioned to thinking outwardly that I find it difficult to turn it back in and analyze itself. So how do you deal with a situation like that? Like, how do you deal with this?
Yeah. So the question is, while working or while leading a professional and a family life, you're so busy, and at the same time we are asked to study the Shastram. And how is it possible? I can't concentrate on the Shastram, or I want to concentrate, I have the desire, but I'm not able to do it for more than a limited amount of time. So that is the question. Yeah, so that is a typical conflict everybody has. Typical conflict. So, and it's a good conflict to have. Okay, there are conflicts that are not good to have, means that have to be quickly resolved, right? So the conflicts like, father and son are not talking to each other. Life goes on. The connection is just the fellow, the father comes and goes to office, the son comes and goes to college, and the school is over and going to college, and just communication is not happening. And total communication breakdown, and the father is worried, and the son is confused, and everything happens. So that conflict has to be resolved by talking, taking some help or the other, some third party, you take somebody's help, take whoever, and you better start talking to each other. Otherwise, this relationship will break forever. And once the son leaves home, there is no coming back after that. So you have these kinds of conflicts which just constantly bother us. And personal conflicts I'm talking about. So personal conflicts have to be resolved. Now, this kind of conflict of where I want to do something, but I don't have time to do it. And my profession is taking away all my time. And my family, my children, everything taking away all my time. So this is classic. Even Arjuna had that problem. It's not that Arjuna did not hear about our Shastram. In fact, he knows so much. And based on his questions, it is very obvious that he already knows a lot. And the words he uses for Krishna is very amazing. So he clearly is aware of the Shastram. And but no time. Samay nahi hai. He constantly sharpening weapons. And so there is no time to think of Shastram during that time. Now, see, Dharma Artha Kama. The minute you are saying I am interested in the Shastram, that itself shows that Artha Kama do not take as much importance as they were taking before. Means, yeah, Artha and Kama are important, no doubt. I don't ignore them, but I'm not going to just go blindly after them. Then Dharma is there. Dharma is a very important thing for all of us, for anybody, for any human being. And so our life, leading a life, gives us an opportunity to express our dharma. Because we are constantly faced with situations where we have to decide, should I do it? What should I do? Opportunity to help arises. Should I help? Or I'm busy, I'll miss the class. I'll be going late to office half an hour. What will you do? I feel like helping this person, but I'll become late to class. Classic conflict. These kinds of conflicts we will have. Those who are committed to dharma will have all kinds of conflict, actually speaking. In fact, only a person who is committed to dharma will be constantly faced with conflicts. This much I have concluded, because there used to be a time where my head was full of conflicts. And from getting up to sleeping, conflict. Hey, kya baat hai? I thought I'm studying all Vedanta and all, and I'm supposed to be happy and all that. And this day starts with worrying. And then I realized that worrying is a different type of worry. It is about my duties, what I should do. Am I doing the right thing? And should I change the course of action? These kinds of important questions keep arising, and they keep nagging. That is what happens in many of us. And other people, they don't seem to have any concerns. They're just driven. They're all driven people. And I wonder, what happened to me? Why am I not going after these things? And I used to worry about those things. So not just sadhana. You're talking only conflict with respect to sadhana. I'm talking even before sadhana, all kinds of conflicts. Dharma related conflicts.
I was including that also, but I didn't specifically mention it.
Correct. Dharma related conflicts are way too many. Way too many. And now I'm serious about all this. Somebody says, birthday party, please come on Saturday evening. And my God, should I study this, attend this class, and I go to the birthday party? What do I do? Can I say I'm not in town? Can I lie like that? I can't lie also. And yet I have to say no. And I can't feel like saying no. And so conflict. Some simple thing like this, conflict. There's a conflict. Every minute there is a conflict. So the good thing is, what happens from all that is, it will make us reorganize our life. It will make us reorganize our life. One day you will say, no, this is too much. I'm just going to cut out all these things. All these extraneous things I cut out. Once I had bought a camera. There's a manual camera. I used to enjoy photography. So I used to go around taking pictures. All this nighttime photography, all this I used to do. And came out very well. And then I found out that this is taking too much of my time. And I've come to, this is when I was in grad school. I'm supposed to study here and get a degree and all that and publish papers. And I'm sitting around taking photographs. And I had to decide, okay, enough. Enough is enough. And so like this, I had to say, enough is enough. Enough is enough. So the conflict is needed in order for you to say, enough is enough. Without that conflict, this decision you can't make. Correct? Without a conflict, you can't. You give your children chance. Let me see if he figures it out. I will wait one more day. And finally it gets to a point, and finally you catch the boy and say, come on, what is going on now? So the conflict has to build to a point, and then only action takes place. So I would say, not to be discouraged by that. And a conflict is there for a reason. Because I desire something, I know something, but I am forced to do something else. I am forced to do something else. The whole world forces me to do something else. Then you have to ask the question, can the world really force me to do something? Am I blaming the world for my problems? Why am I am the one who is yielding to all these things. So why am I blaming all these friends and people and my employer and my job and all that? That thing can come. So then, yeah, job duties are there. I must deliver those duties. But everything else where there is an opportunity for me to act deliberately, willfully, with a predetermined conclusion, or rather with a well thought out conclusion, I act it out. I say stop, enough is enough. And by doing that, gradually, you will get more time for sadhana. That is number one. Number two, this thinking process itself is a sadhana. We don't minimize the importance of conflicts. When you have a conflict and when you are thinking about it, that itself is sadhana. So we have to invoke the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, invoking the teachings of Tattvabodha. All these things we invoke in our life when we have these conflicts. So it is a way to constantly bring us back to the Shastra. Okay. There will never be a time, really speaking, when we will be free of all our duties and all we will do is study the Shastram all day. Really speaking, that doesn't happen. Now, even a sannyasi called upon to do so many things. Called upon. You go to the ashram and you go to the swamis are so busy. And because people are coming to talk to them and they have to talk to the people. People are coming with projects. They have to give advice. And so that person also thinking that ashram is a great place to be, that person's life is different. So what I'm saying is, in action alone, in activity alone, one can see our fullness. We must get used to seeing the fullness of Atma in activity alone. Okay, very important lesson we have to learn. And that is why there is no need to be afraid of family or profession or anything we are doing in any given day. Never being afraid. In fact, our study of the Shastram empowers us to do our duties properly. I will do my duty. Because what do I lose by doing my duty? I have everything to gain. Chitta Shuddhi, I will gain. And the more I gain Chitta Shuddhi, the more I will appreciate the message of the Shastra. So therefore, I will do what it takes. I will do whatever is to be done. And that time will come. There will be a time when the Shastra keeps growing into you. Without your knowledge, it keeps growing. And so, you no longer perceive. By the time you realize it, you will know that you have studied so much. You have understood so much. You have been exposed to the Shastram so much. Despite a busy lifestyle. Correct? So, I think there is a role for all our ashramas. That is why we have all these ashramas. And we do need to spend time in our ashramas. And the opportunities will grow as you do. And of course, young people, you all have to work and have to support a family, have to support parents. So like this, there are so many duties. We are not alone. Even though we are born alone, we don't live alone. We are related to people constantly. We are related to the community. There's so many duties to discharge. So I don't see that kind of a conflict as a problem. It can only be an opportunity to resolve all the issues I have, and as well as learn. Okay. So yeah, so that kind of conflict is natural, and it only shows the maturity of the mind. Only a mature person will have conflicts. An immature person will not have any conflict. Correct? No conflicts will be there. So vegetarian has conflicts, because then I have to look into all these things. And what is what, and these days everything is camouflaged. And you have to find out. And that's why sometimes it's good to live in a community where there are all these like-minded people. Because, I live in this place where all are so-called people who are vegetarians, and even there some of them won't eat onion and garlic. And so when they look at me, they will make food without onion and garlic. Arey bapre, how nice it is. So sometimes we have to seek those kinds of places which will minimize those conflicts, right? Which will minimize those things which seem to interfere in your sadhana.
Yeah.
So it drives us to look for those opportunities also. So given 2 opportunities, you will say, yeah, I think I will do this. This city is a better city to live, because travel time is not 2 hours to office, it is only half an hour to office. A big relief. Suddenly you got 1.5 hours time. Big relief. And so like this, we start making decisions, even though that job pays a lot more and this job pays a little less. I will go for this less paying job and a less glamorous city, because I have lost interest in glamour. That's it. There you go. You made a decision, resolved a conflict, and there can't be any more conflict. Oh, I wish I were working in Mumbai, big city, the economic, financial capital of India. All this conflict I won't have, because I'm clear about where I want to go. So that conflict is good, because it gives me proper direction in my life. And that's very important for all of us. Good question here. So a life full of conflict. Conflicts will be there.
Very good question and very good answer to Jayakumar ji. Thank you.
Yeah.
Question. So, with sadhana and with whatever we are trying to learn with Vedanta, what we are trying to do is we are trying to look for it. It means that the finality is the truth. Now, actually, having understood what is Sat, you cannot search for it. It is, in fact, it is the one which is searching for, it is the one which is searching, right? You cannot search for that consciousness. So how this conflict, we always try to look for it, but actually in reality, having gone through all the definition today, for example, it is the one which is searching for. Is a conflict for me, like, okay, I am trying to search for it.
Correct. Searching for consciousness. Searching for Sat. Yeah. So I think when you search for something, that means what? You are having an idea of something, and you want to search for that. You want to grab it, either physically or mentally. Grab it. But see, that is our conditioning, Prasad. That is our conditioning. We are all conditioned to grab at things. Anything is to be either understood or possessed or seen or experienced, something like that. And so this Atma also is something like that. And everything else I have to go outside, but for Atma I have to go inside. I have to dive deep within. So true, Prasad, you're not alone. You're not alone. I'm saying that is orientation. Many people have that orientation. But when we appreciate, when we understand this Satyam and Mithya and consciousness, we are beginning to see that everything is Brahma. Because now the physicist doesn't have to look for an electron. Why? Because electrons are there everywhere. Even this body is full of electrons. Why to look for an electron? Why should you look? Unless you want to look through a particular device and look for a particular electron. That is different. Everything, everywhere, electrons are there. So I don't need to look for it anymore. So when the Shastram says, you are that, and the Shastram then later on will say, everything in the world also is that, and that you and that world are also identical, if it says, then it makes the whole pursuit even more meaningful. I don't need to look, because the minute I look, I am making a separation between the looker and the looked.
Okay.
When I look for something, I am implying that I am not what I am looking for. Think about that. When you look for something, and let's say you find something. Yes, I found it. I found what I'm looking for. That means what? I found what I'm looking for, and we just said what? Drik Drishya Viveka. What I found what I'm looking for means I found the Drishya. And Drishya is not Drik. And now I've created a conflict. The conflict is what? I struggled so hard and I finally found it. But Drik Drishya Viveka says what you found is not you. And therefore, who are you? I am the same old who has found one more thing. I am the same old person who has found one more thing. That is how it will become. So maybe that one thing will help me in my life. If we say, then we say that anything that you find is ashashvatam, is in the category of change, in the category of object. Object. It is an object, you are the subject. And so anything you find is going to be impermanent, it is going to be having parts, it is going to be full of change, and so you cannot find the unchanging. The Nityam cannot be found. The Nityam can only be recognized as yourself. Okay? That is the way we say it. And no, but I can't see. Yourself means what? If you say, I know I'm not the body, I know I'm not the mind, then what? Then what is that yourself? That eagerness may be there. Then I will say, who is asking the question? Who is asking the question? Who is asking the question, I want to see myself? That person is you. No, my intellect is asking the question. Okay? So like this, you have to think through a little bit. The Shastra makes us think through. And Ramana Maharshi is famous for this. Anybody comes and asks him a question, he says, who is asking the question? That's the only standard answer he gives. Yeah, It's very, sometimes it's unnerving to hear that. What? Who is asking the question? Then you have to go back and think. It makes you think, basically. Makes you think. Who is asking the question? So we need to ponder about that a little more. And if you say, I found something in me, I found Atma in me, if you say, then you have now separated the found Atma from the founder. Now you are the founder of Atma. You're not Atma anymore. You're the founder of Atma, correct? Then what about the founder? We have to ask the question. If Atma is found, then what about the founder? Founder is not Atma, then what? So Atma has become impermanent because I found it. Like that, the discussion goes. And so, as we study this, we will understand this better.
Yeah.
A good question.
Jayakumar ji, one quick question. So, when applying this Drik and Drishya, how are we to understand the Puranas where they talk about Shiva or Vishnu appearing in front of people, like after deep meditation spells or whatever? Is it also a projection of their own mind that they are seeing, or how are we to understand, or those kind of things? But if they are seeking God or like whatever, and if God is something that cannot be experienced, because if you're experiencing it, then who's the one who's experiencing it? That question comes, right? So
yeah. So all these stories that talk about appearance of devatas, Shiva, Vishnu, Savitri prayed and Yama came in front of her. Yama. And everybody is afraid of Yama, and this lady is facing Yama direct. And so Yama comes. There is a story. Prahlada is there. Vishnu comes in the form of Narsimha. Hundreds of stories are there. So these stories are beautiful. So let's take the story of Prahlada and Narsimha Avatara. Here, Avatara. Avatara means Ishvara, who has deliberately taken a form, a particular form, and come to earth or wherever these people were living, Hiranyakashipu and Prahlada, and took the form, and then after that the form served the purpose, and so that Narsimha disappeared, no longer needed for the world. So those are all specific forms, like the form that we all have taken. You see, for us, Atma can take any form. Can be a plant, can be a human being, can be some other being somewhere in between the Bhuvaha, between Bhuhu and Suvaha, there is Bhuvaha, and any being there, or in Suvaha, Suvarloka, taking a form. Anything is possible because it's a form. Why limit the forms to these jivas here on earth? This is the only mind we know. There are so many forms, and the Shastram is talking about all these forms. So, it talks about happiness for all these forms also. Te ye shatam deva gandharvanam anandaha sa eko indrasya nandaha shotriyasya cha kamahatasya te ye shatam indrasya nandaha. So talks about Gandharva, Manushya Gandharva, then Deva Gandharva, then talks about Pitru, then Ajana Jana, then talks about Indra, then Prajapati, then Brahaspati, then Prajapati. Like this, the Shastra is describing all these types of beings. So we have no problem believing all this because they're all forms. And forms can appear, disappear. They can live long for ages. They can live. We have no problem believing in it because, you know why? Because we know very well that no form is permanent. And so we are happy to take on more forms, and we need forms also. To relate, we need forms. To be inspired, we need forms. And Ishvara's forms are very much needed, because without a form, I cannot relate at all. Impossible. Impossible. So we need a Narasimha, we need a Krishna, we need a Ram. We all need all these things. So appearance of Devatas, suddenly, all that is part of the law. And the laws, even if you say they're all made out, means they're all imaginary, then also we don't have a problem. The ability to imagine is given to me, and it's all imagined and given to me. Okay, done. And we all enjoy it. Done. And we are not worried about trying to prove whether this is real or not. This is another important point. The pressure to prove that everything is real, that pressure. Some of us have that pressure. Children are also, especially those modern children, ask all these questions. And so many parents are stuck. Conflict. Children ask the question, I have no answer to that. How can Ravana fly? I don't believe. Not possible. How it's possible? There were no planes those days. Now, poor mother, father, what can they say to all this? They all grew up chanting Ramayanam and Hanuman Chalisa and Aigiri Nandini. All this they chanted. Now suddenly the son is asking this question. They're stuck. So we say, hey, these are all inspirational stories that are meant to inspire us. And Valmiki is a poet. And poet is there. Tell me all your poems. You now tell me. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Is it a good what is it? Rhyme? Yes, good rhyme. I grew up with that. Now tell me what is true about twinkle, twinkle, little star. First of all, the star is not little. Second, the star doesn't twinkle at all. You think it twinkles, but really star doesn't twinkle. You've been chanting this mantra for so many years, and you've been lying all along. So make the son and daughter think a little bit. And let them think, find out the answer to that. You tell me the answer to that, then I will tell you the answer to my question, your question.
They have convinced more Harry Potter's characters than our mythological characters.
Isn't it? It's so amazing it is.
Yeah.
So amazing. Harry Potter itself is the product of a desire the mind has for something fantastic, right?
Correct.
We need that. The mind needs it. And the Puranas serve that purpose. And we don't have to prove it is real, unreal and all. We don't have that pressure. And it is all there. It's all Harry Potter type. And so we believe it.
Sort of explaining, right? We fall short of it. Like, for example, if we tell them like Parshurama's story, why did he kill his mother? Like we don't know how to explain either.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Shastra is reminding us that if you are not careful, it is possible to engage in acts like Parashurama's acts also. And you see all these newspapers where they say he shot the mother and the mother shot them and all this goes on everywhere.
Like he's Avatara and he did that. So like I didn't have explanation when I tried to even find out myself.
Yeah, so the Avatara has a particular purpose. And
he probably knew his father can again make her live. Maybe that's the only explanation I could come up with. But he had to follow his father's, like his father said to kill her, right? So that's why he did it.
Yeah. So sometimes acts have to be done. Arjuna kills Drona. Arjuna kills Bhishma. How is it possible? Guru Hatya is the worst type of papa. And yet Krishna says, come on, go after it. Krishna also helps Arjuna periodically. So what do you tell about all these things? So
But at least they were on the kind of adharma. Drona and Bhishmacharya, were they themselves directly didn't do adharma, but indirectly they were on the side of adharma. So, but what about Renuka Devi, Parshuram's mother? She wasn't adharmic.
Yeah, we need to find out what is the rational people give there. I haven't thought through the Parshurama story yet. Love to hear a good explanation to that. I didn't think through myself. Yeah, those are good questions. Good questions. Yeah, seemingly adharmic acts. Very, very violent acts of adharma committed by people who you think are supposed to be following dharma, right? Yeah, good questions. I don't have a ready answer for that. Maybe we will look into it. And how to explain.
You will always be with axe. If a weapon is given, it can be used either for destruction or protection. Same weapon is given to Rama, he never used except to kill Ravana. But Parashurama, using the axe, he killed even his mother and also all the Kshatriyas in those days. So maybe to highlight the evil effects of weapons, it might have been told, but we don't know. I think Parashurama happened much before Krishna. So those he was, what were the conditions prevailing on those days? So, and we know very little about Parashurama. In Puranas, there is a very little subject about Parashurama, except there is a Parashurama Kshetram at near Trivandrum. And I think that may be the reason. And we don't know what is the condition that existed.
Yeah.
So even Hinduism till Adi Shankara period was eating beef, was eating non-vegetarian. They were offered to the yagas. But afterwards, slowly that Buddhism was involved into Hinduism, and we are now following vegetarianism. So the conditions we have to see in those days.
Yeah.
Why they have done it. And here Arjuna did it because there was a divine compulsion. He didn't do on his own will. As a person, he didn't do it. He did it out of the grace of Krishna. Whenever there is a grace of a sankalpa of Lord, it can be done.
Yeah. So we give reasons to many of these things, and in this particular case of Parashurama, it's avatara. So, like Venkateshan says, we don't know the prevailing conditions and things like that, but still killing the mother, that's a very, very jarring thing to hear, and that too for an avatara to do that.
And especially when I'm telling to the kids, it's like, we were doing avataras. So like when you tell, I couldn't answer.
Correct. So it doesn't just, one thing we should be clear. It doesn't justify murder.
At this point of time, it is not justified.
So it doesn't justify killing the mother. We don't take it that way. Nobody takes it that way. Even Parashurama did not take it that way. He also must have a reason, but his message was not to communicate that. And whenever you disagree with your mother, you hurt your mother. No, that is not the idea. So those messages are always given. So the story is like that. And the beauty is all the stories are told. And so we don't take every story literally. We take only the messages coming from the story. Correct?
like that, there were many avatars. For example, Dhanvantari is an avatara, and he came and did his purpose and went away. Then similarly, this for Vedas, the avatara that is there is avatara who came and taught Veda and he went back. So apart from these 9 or 10 avatars, there were many avatars who came just to meet the perspective and then went away.
Yeah.
Then one more thing about this. So Sat is whatever we experience is not Sat, right? Satyam. The moment we experience something, it is not Satyam, right? Whatever I understood.
Correct.
Similarly, the moment we experience something, is not Chit. Whatever I experience is not Chit. So emptiness also is an experience of me, so it is not existing as far as me is concerned.
Yeah.
But the observer is there, right?
Emptiness is also an idea that depends on you. Only you have to.
It is experienced by me.
Yeah.
I keep on asking questions. Who am I? Who am I? Who is telling that you are empty? So it is not me. So me is not existing. Emptiness is not existing to me. It is a notion which I imbibe as though it is mine.
Yeah. So we are only saying that the satyam that we are talking about, the chit, is not emptiness. That's what we are saying. And chit must be there in order to even talk about emptiness. And so emptiness being an attractive idea, because we are negating so much. And so everything is negated, nothing remains. Idea can come. And so we brought that idea of emptiness, blankness, which can be you. Yes.
More like deep sleep.
Then one more thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello. Sorry.
Yeah. Deep sleep is a good example. It's a good example for our purposes.
One more thing, while doing office work, there are some restrictions. That is, we are compelled to meet the target. We are compelled to do something which is not much dharmic, which is dharmic. So these kind, I think Bhagavad Gita has got an answer. They say that you surrender everything to me. Whatever you take, it is me. Whatever you think, it is me. And every action you surrender to me. And wherever you go, you assume that you are going around a temple. Whatever you see, whatever the people you see, you think, I am Narayana is there. They are Narayana. And whatever the food you take, you think it is my prasadam. So even if in a birthday cake, if we think it is a prasadam of Krishna, it is definitely a divine. So if we cannot avoid birthday parties, so we have to follow this route. I think I am a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I have explained this better.
No, that is fine.
So this is a. It is there in Nada. There are 3 concepts,
So Venkateshan ji, so summarize what you said. Yes, the idea that prasada buddhi and ishwararpana buddhi, those are the 2 things talked in Bhagavad Gita. Karma yoga. So ishwararpana buddhi, what you said is, whatever I do it to you. I offer it to you, Ishvara, Parameshwara, Krishna, Vishnu. I offer it to you. And because this whole world is you, the yajna is you anyway. Yajno vai Vishnu. So Vishnu is there everywhere. So when I do something, it automatically goes to you. that attitude, Akashad Patitam Toyam Yatha Gacchati Sagaram, Sarvadeva Namaskara Sri Keshavam Pratigacchati. So every day, we chant this. And so, correct. So that attitude is important. It neutralizes all this agitation. Neutralizes all agitation, correct? And so, good point. And so to minimize the bite of the conflicts, we have this attitude, the attitude of Karma Yoga, which is an important topic in the Bhagavad Gita. Not talked about much in Tattvabodha. Correct?
Yes. That is Bhakti Yoga topic.
Good. So we'll stop with that. Deepa has a question. Yeah, let's see what the question is.
Jayakumar ji, you said after death, consciousness cannot communicate with Atma. Why will Atma communicate with consciousness after death, Jayakumar ji? Our body is gone, right?
Yeah. So it is communicate means the connection between the body and the Atma is lost. That is what we are saying. Right? So even though there is a Punarjanma, etc., Punarjanma is there, and so the karma results in the jiva taking on a new form. The connection is re-established. Some sort of a connection is established again. So all we are saying here is that the insentient, the sentient body has become insentient. The living body has become inert. Living body has become inert. And the inertness cannot be revived. That's all we are saying. Cannot be revived. The connection cannot again be made. That's all we are saying here. Okay.
Thank you, Jayakumar.
Okay. So it's
But
8:20.
Atma and consciousness are different. Consciousness is not Atma, no?
Correct. Yes. So Atma Satchidananda Swarupaha. So when we appreciate consciousness, we begin to appreciate Atma. Correct. Okay. So we will stop with that.
Thank you, Jayakumar.
We'll meet again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jayakumar.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.